Hello, hello. All right, so welcome back, Aries. Let's get into this, shall we? So, we're going to take a quick peek and say, what is the message for our Aries? We have a Four of Cups. Could have a sign that is pretty, excuse me, pretty disappointed over the failed blueprints, or they assume that it's gone up in a big old mushroom cloud. They had this architectural plan for how life would go, or somebody wanted to build a house, and they're saying, well, I don't see how that's going to happen now. This is somebody who's kind of laying down, licking their wounds right now. They might be just fatigued, though, because this can be about illusions also. Either they had plans for something that wasn't ever really possible, or they have plans for something that is possible, just not right now. But they're very demoralized about it. We have the guide flying overhead, but they're not paying any attention. What is the guide trying to say? Is it that, hey, this is an illusion, or is this it's right over the framework of that house, the blueprints? Nine of Swords. You know, here's the crazy part. I don't think this is Aries, but I will say, because we don't have any fire so far at all, right? We have emotions and we have thoughts. So we've got our cups and we've got our swords. I think the guides are flying over saying, quit boo-hooing over this. Your plan wasn't that great. Your plan had flaws in it. The reason things aren't happening right now is because you actually haven't cleaned up and tidied up and revamped stuff the way you must. You wanted some things, but it was you hadn't put in the time yet to think about what you would need to do to really make that, a genuine possibility. I think that's a great message on this, because sometimes we get really upset. Oh, I didn't get it. It won't work out. All my dreams, they're just shattered. And the universe is coming in, or the guides are coming in saying, hang on, you're stressing over the wrong thing. Fix up, do some fine tuning, go back to the drawing board, and you'll see that there are some things that you weren't ready for. Whomever this character is, they weren't really ready for it. We have a Five of Cups. I gotta say, if this is somebody crying over a relationship, oh, this person doesn't love me, the guides might be saying that's because it wasn't the right person for you. Don't be brokenhearted. I don't know who Aries is yet. Aries doesn't seem to have put in an appearance on this storyline yet. Now we could have, I don't know, this feels like somebody says, no, my dream is dying. And they're really sad. They're really upset over this perceived loss. They thought they were going to marry somebody. They were going to be with each other their whole lives. And that didn't work out. And the guides are like, you're disappointed over something that I think would have disappointed you had you even gotten it. So think a little bit longer about this. I mean, maybe this is our Aries, but let me see. Can we get a message just for Aries? Oh, maybe this is Aries. We have a Three of Swords. So if this message is that Aries is really thinking that they missed out on the love of a lifetime, the person that they'd envisioned this future with, the person that they thought, I'll be married for all my life to this one person. The guides are saying that was the illusion, though. Even if it really hurts right now, it would have hurt regardless, because this wasn't the connection that was actually going to work out. This wasn't the end all be all after all. I know it's a lot of alls in that sentence. We have the World sideways. There's a whole nother chapter that Aries cannot even fathom right now, because they haven't walked through that threshold. It's kind of like, if you've never traveled, then you can't even imagine, the way other countries build their buildings. If you've never eaten a certain type of food, you couldn't imagine how delicious certain dishes are, because they use spices you've never had. I remember the first time I ever tried Indian food, I was like, oh my God, this is the most amazing. And, there were flavors I had never tasted before, and it just was incredible. And, you don't know what you're missing because you haven't walked through that doorway. So sometimes the thing that we think is like, well, that was my end all be all. This is where the universe goes, actually, there's so much that you haven't seen yet. There's a whole new chapter that you can't even imagine And if you could imagine, then you'd probably dry tears a lot faster and be like, oh, wait a minute, bring on the next best. I didn't know. I was crying over something I thought was amazing, but I had no idea something even better existed because I couldn't have conceived of that. This world card is sideways. It says that in this moment, maybe Aries isn't ready to cross that threshold just yet. It's there for them when they're ready, but there's something they have to do first. Nine of Pentacles. You know, I love this. Aries has to get themselves in a happier frame of mind. They have to be in a place not of lack, not of the perception that I somehow will never have that beautiful life that I thought was going to be mine. That beautiful life that they thought was going to be theirs was an illusion because of what they were trying to build with. It would be like if I said, I want to, oh gosh, I don't know, bake like a 7-foot tall cake that I wanted to sculpt, and I could just envision this, and I could, be in the Guinness Book of World Records, and I could make this amazing cake that almost looks like it's a real life house because it's going to be the dimensions of like a tiny house or something. But then let's say structurally that wasn't possible, not for it to be made out of pure cake. The weight of it, the frosting, all it just would have collapsed. There would have had to be all kinds of additional structural things that I didn't have, or the rules wouldn't have permitted me to, it had to all be out of cake, and there are limiting factors because of mass and weight and all of that. So being really sad that that dream I had to construct this perfect house out of cake, get in the Guinness Book of World Records, maybe it was never going to happen. Maybe in truth, there are, even the fact that I could conceive of that is a beautiful thing. Maybe my architectural plans are great to a certain extent, but I would have to apply them in a different way. So maybe if Aries starts to think about, wait a second, I have a lot to offer. I have great ideas. I am a great person. I have a ton of abundance in my life, and I've got a great brain, and I have so much to offer someone, but maybe I was offering it to the wrong person. Maybe they couldn't have handled all that I've got to bring to the table. Maybe there's really nothing wrong with this other than it was the wrong matchup. There's something here about Aries just has to get back in the frame of mind of happiness and self-contentment, and that's when they'll be ready to walk through that threshold, and then it's going to be a whole different ballgame. I know it's kind of sounds like a little bit harsh in this story because it kind of says that we're not being very compassionate to the hurt that Aries is feeling about something that they perceive as a tremendous loss. But I can't help it. The message still says, but it wasn't that big of a loss. It was, the person was a little bit of a crocodile, crocodile tears, somebody that couldn't have been at any point in time. Maybe this was never at all the right person because they weren't worthy of our Aries. And Aries, as soon as they wrap their head around that, it's like, oh, wait a second. They weren't supposed to have access to me and my precious heart. They weren't qualified to have me in their life. Well, that changes things. So I didn't get hurt. I didn't get left. I didn't lose out on the best thing in my life. This person couldn't have built the best thing, the plans that I had. They didn't have the qualifications to build the way I can. Okay, that changes things. I'm not crying anymore. In fact, I'm feeling pretty good. In fact, I'm ready for the next. And I'd like an upgrade next time, please and thank you. That's when our Aries, when they wrap their head around that, and I think that this could happen like any day now. I got the Death card, though, and it did come out in the reverse. It'll happen when Aries is darn good and ready. Scorpio energy, it still says that there's a delay. What's the delay? King of Cups. Oh, okay. And Six of Wands. Well, because Aries isn't the only person who is going through something similar. Whomever is a great match for them, which could be a water sign, somebody very emotional, they might be working on getting their own success back as well. They too could be on the cusp of getting their energy up to snuff. So some of the delay here before Aries walks into a new connection could be that it's the same thing that a perfectly matched person that Aries will meet. They too could be getting their happiness back. They too could be starting to feel successful again, but they need a little bit of time. Not all delays are about our lead characters. Sometimes what is being prepared for them, the thing that would be wonderful for them, that person has their own journey. And sometimes we forget that. Knight of Swords. It's so funny though, because the second that both characters are kind of vibing in the same way, Aries is feeling really good with that Nine of Pentacles, and then this King of Cups is feeling really good with the Six of Wands. That's where these two will connect. I'm wondering, do they know each other at all already? Because it almost feels like these two needed to be able to see one another, like they've already been. Yeah, they do. We got a High Priestess. I don't know, all of a sudden it just struck me that I feel like these two already have been around each other, and but their eyes have never like met and registered, like, oh damn, you're really something. I couldn't see you before because I was still tangled up with, the hurt and pain of my ex. And this King of Cups might have been like, wow, I didn't notice Aries the way I notice them now because I was too busy working on trying to get my sense of confidence up. I didn't see you, even though you've been right under my nose all this time. This has been a long journey. We see the camels, and it's been a long, lonely, even dry journey. I don't think either character has had the love, the support, or the passion that they both deserve. But they have known of each other and even been aware of one another's presence. They might have passed each other by. You know what's weird? I know this is very specific, but I'm going to say it anyway. I'm looking at the camel like it's a vehicle. And I almost think that they recognize one another's cars or silhouettes and vehicles. Like, I don't know, somebody who drives like a camel colored, vehicle, like a light tannish, shade or something. Or they have like a nice looking car, black and like maybe like brown leather interior. Aries might look really amazing in a white dress. Maybe they have a sun hat. Something about like each of them has noticed the other in the landscape of our lives. Sometimes we notice stuff and it becomes familiar. And even though there's billions of cars that park, whatever, in our apartment complex or on our street, or billions of cars that we see frequently when we go to that specific like coffee house or grocery store, but we've never known who drives it. But we notice that car, and anywhere we see it around town or something, we recognize it. And so it becomes like a familiar sight. And we don't even know why we paid attention to that one car instead of all the others. But why does it keep popping up? Why are we aware of it? Same thing. Maybe they've noticed Aries has like a style that they wear, and they've seen the silhouette of Aries walking, and they're like, something caught my eye about that. That person's very picturesque, even if they've never been close enough to have a full-blown conversation with this Aries. Aries made an impact on them. Sometimes characters sense that they're supposed to move towards something, or that it's stored for later, and they don't know what to say other than, I noticed you. I think at some point they'll talk about this. We have the full moon, and then we have the crescent moon, and it's the moon, like almost like a tarot card that she's holding. So Aries could like tarot cards as a whole. Also, she has I would say a Latino or Native American cultural aspect here, because it looks like she's in moccasins as well. But somebody could have a particular background. I see Joshua trees here also, which are really, really remarkable trees. I love those. So maybe somewhere like down in California or something. Doesn't have to be, but it just, these are and the camels, I would look at as like, Sahara Desert, Middle Eastern. So just some cultural side notes to this. It doesn't matter how big the world is. It doesn't matter from what far-flung places across the globe these characters have lived or been before. There's something that in this huge world with so many people, 8 billion plus, they recognized something about each other, and it triggered something. There's been a thread where these two were always supposed to meet, but the timing had to be when they were both ready for this. This is Aries' next chapter. This is also this King of Cups. next chapter. But the two of them were kind of always destined to someday meet. They'll probably talk about it at some point and be like, you know what's funny? For like 3 years, I used to see your car and I never knew who drove it. I never saw a person in it, but I've noticed your car here and there. And they'd be like, oh, yeah, no, I would always go to that grocery store. Oh, yeah, no, that's the gym I would patronize. Oh, yeah, my friend lived on that street. I would be there like every Saturday afternoon. And it could be like, how did we not meet? Because these two have been in each other's like sphere, kind of like dancing around each other, but they had to clear out other things before they could like, it's like something was between two parts of a magnet that wanted to come together, but we had like a, like a chunk of lead in between, and they just couldn't seem to attract one another any closer because it was always this blockage between them. I actually really love this. We got a strong Pisces, Virgo, Cancerian energy on this. And they came out as possibly a water sign. All right, I'm going to do Scorpio next, actually. So just because that death card, I just thought I would mention that because that could be important in this story. Thank you guys so much for being here. Thanks so much for giving it a thumbs up and subscribing. Lots of love to you. Bye.